Please subscribe to our YouTube channel.
Welcome. We want to talk about PhoneGap. What is PhoneGap and why do we need PhoneGap? PhoneGap is a new technology used in building what? Mobile application. I'm not talking about offline mode application only. I'm talking about offline mode and online mode application on your mobile devices. And the new technologies you can see really taking all over the world is mobile application, mobile. Now, let's talk about what PhoneGap and who holds PhoneGap, how we can build on PhoneGap. We're going to be focusing more on what are the things we need to build a what PhoneGap. Let's wait a little bit. Okay, now PhoneGap framework. We want to look about PhoneGap framework. About the PhoneGap framework, as you can see, the framework means what? The structure of what? The PhoneGap. Now, PhoneGap is a software development framework by Adobe System used to develop mobile applications, not only one application, so like multiple applications, anyone. To develop app, use PhoneGap, the developer does not require to have knowledge of mobile programming language, but only web development language like HTML, the CSS, and the JavaScript. Now, before you can build on PhoneGap, you need to have a knowledge of what HTML, CSS, and what JavaScript. This is required, like is required to have the knowledge of what? Of this. One, two, three. Now, before you can build on PhoneGap, you need to upgrade your HTML to what? HTML5, CSS3, and JavaScript. Now, why do you require what HTML5? HTML5 is an upgraded version of HTML. It gives a what? A good structure of a mobile application. Web. Also, the CSS3 is an upgraded version of what? CSS. Now, why do we need HTML5? Why do we need CSS3? Because the new technology now, before you can build on mobile application, it must be smaller, taking what? The sizes of what? The devices. In mobile application, we can have what? 5-inch screen, 10-inch screen, 11-inch screen, like that. Now, let's talk about what? The structural layout of what? The PhoneGap. This is the PhoneGap build at the center of what? The script, and this is the translation out of the script. Now, you see what we need is what? The JS, which is known as what? The JavaScript, the CSS, which is known as what? The cascading style sheet, the HTML, which is known as what? Hypertext markup language. Now, when the PhoneGap machine by default, if you set it by default or you want a particular devices out being used this PhoneGap to build, these have the what? The 6 devices. You can say the 6 phone, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Now we're going to be focusing more on this middle one here. As you can see this cursor, we're going to be focusing more on this Android application for now. This is also another one which is known as what? The iPhone. This is known as what? The BlackBerry, Windows Phone, and so on. Now notice that this is what we're going to be using here. This is the machine we're going to be using here, the PhoneGap. Now want to look at this. With PhoneGap, you build beautiful cross-platform application. Use HTML, CSS, and what? JavaScript. Now, by the time we are moving over, is known as what? The cross-platform, because it's not going to be on HTML web-based. It's going to be what? Transform into what? An installer into your device, your mobile device. Now, we have two major what? PhoneGap. We have the offline application, we have the what? Online application. Why do we need the online application? Why do we need the offline application? Now we're going to be focusing more on the offline application. Now, offline application is whereby it does not need what? Online. It does not, the application is just based on what? Offline mode. Now, online means that the application must pull from the internet. It must has the pull from internet, like is not freelance scale. Example like Facebook and other applications that require what? Internet access. Now, offline application, the following image represent the folder structure. For offline application, root directory is requires only two files, config, and the extension file of this config is known as what? The XML, and also the index extension file of this index known as what? The HTML. Now these are the major folder of what? The offline mode. Now this is the what? The first folder. This folder, inside this folder we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. We have 6 folder linked to this main folder. Then we have six items. Now let's move back. Now this is the first folder here. We have how many folder? 1, 2, 3, 4. We have 4 folder. Now this making it what? 6. Now this is the config settings. This is also what? The index.html. Now this, you can only see this in what? The offline mode. This data folder. This data folder, if you have any other HTML file, as you can see here, this folder, as you can see, it is linked down here. If you have any other what? HTML file, like maybe the first index is talking about what? It's talking about the front, like the design, maybe the link. Inside the data you have what? Contact, or that all is going to be inside this word data, because it's an offline mode. If it's an online mode, you will not see this data. This data is not going to be there. This data folder is not going to be there. Now we have this CSS. All your CSS file has to be what? Inside this CSS. Now your JavaScript has to be what? Inside this JavaScript. Now the resources. This RES means what? The resources. Inside the resource 6, we have other subfolder here, which is known as what? This. The subfolder is known as your icon. Your icon, in your mobile device, an icon must be in the front screen for you to click, so that you can pull up the the application, so that you can make use of the application. Without the icon, you cannot click, and the application cannot be what? Pull out. Now this icon, as you can see here, the icon folder also have another folder, which is known as what? The Android, and the what? The iOS. Now this, if you have been building on what? Android, that means the image is going to be what? Inside the Android. If you are particularly working on what? iOS, is going to what? Be inside the what? iOS. If you are working on both, 1, 2, that means you're going to be having the icon in the Android, icon also in the iOS. Take note, the offline mode only have what? The data. This data means any other HTML file you have must be inside this. It can be 10, it can be 15. It does not have a limit. All your what? Your CSS must be inside the CSS folder. Remember, we have main folder, we have 1, 2, 3, 4 subfolder attached to this first main folder. Now the resources also have what? Another folder known as what? The icon. The icon folder also have another folder known as what? The Android and the iOS. Remember, this resources folder, this icon folder you are seeing here, require what? The image that is going to be what? Showing on your screen. Now let's move to the next. Now the online application. The online application image shows folder structure for application to be in online mode. In online mode, enter web content is loaded from the internet website. I told you, similar case of this online web is known as what? Online application is known as what? The Facebook. The Facebook app on your phone require what? Internet. Without the internet, you cannot see anything new like post. It pull it out from the internet. That's why you can see here say the web content is loaded from the internet website. That means if you are building an online application on your phone, that means automatically, I told you, you will not have the data folder anymore. You can see here we have the main folder, 1, 2, 3. We have 3 folder. In the previous one it was 4 in the previous one, but this one it is 3, 3, 4, 5. We only have 5 here. As you can see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 5 linked to the main folder. Now you remember the index, as you can see here, and the word config.sml. Now this is the interface. I told you is an online base. Now this online base, any link you click in this your web is going to be pulling it from what, the internet. Now your CSS can still be inside this folder. Your JavaScript can still be inside this folder. Your resources still remain the same. Nothing changed. Now, why do we need this CSS? Why do we need what? This JS, this JavaScript. Why don't we leave it on what? On internet, like the backend. It should just be everything is linked to this. Do not do it like that. The site will be too heavy for the internet. Like it would be like a little bit slower. It will not be fast. Like you have to make it what? Light, still remain. Let your CSS folder still be in this. Let your JavaScript still be like this. Let the resources still remain like this. Let this still remain like this. Only your data folder you're gonna exit, or you're gonna be working without. You don't need it. Now this is it. This is the end. Remember, we're gonna be working now on the offline mode. Now remember the offline mode. There is a data. This is what we're gonna be working on the next video. Any question you have, you can leave your comment below. You can ask your question. It will be replied. See you in the next video.